Hello and welcome to our practical Wi-Fi hacking using Kali Linux course. My name is Zaid Al-Quraishi and I'm going to be your instructor for this course. The course is going to be divided into three main parts: pre-connection, gaining access, and post-connection. Each of those parts consists of a number of attacks and methods that you can use. Each attack or each method we're going to talk about. First of all, we're going to understand how it works theoretically, and then we're going to see how we can do this in practice. So we're going to have examples on real life labs and networks that I have here. I have them set up here for you. The course is divided into three parts that take you from the most basic case. So you're only in section 1, you're only going to have wireless card connected to your device. So you won't have any passwords for the networks around you. All we have is a Wi-Fi card connect to our device, and we'll see what we can do with this. So we're going to see how we can gather information about all the networks and access points that are around us and all the clients that are connected to these networks. We're going to see how we can gather important information, how we can do sniffing and gather packets from these networks. We're going to see how we can control the connections of these networks so that we can deny any device from connecting to any network or deny all connections to some network. We're going to see how we can set up a fake access point or a fake network so that we can attract people to connect to it and gain access to the internet, and then sniff or collect all the information that they use, such as passwords, usernames, and all that. After we do that, after we talk about section 1, we're going to go to section 2, which is gaining access. So for example, you had your wireless card and you gathered the information about all the networks around you, but your target network was using encryption, was using a password to connect to it. So we're going to talk about how we can crack this password, how we can break into this network. We're going to talk about WPA and WPA2 and WEP cracking. We're going to talk about each of those encryption methods, and we're gonna talk about different methods to crack these encryptions. Once you gain access to your network and you get the key and you can connect to the network, we're gonna talk about very powerful attacks that you can launch after you connect to the network in section 3. So in section 3, we're gonna talk about very powerful attacks that you can launch, such as sniffing usernames, passwords, bypassing HTTPS, DNS spoofing, gaining full access to networks that are IPs that are in your Wi-Fi range, getting very sophisticated, getting very detailed information about the devices that are connected to you, and all that stuff. So basically we have three parts: pre-connection, gaining access, and post-connection. Before we can start trying to hack into networks and break into them, there's a few basics that we need to learn before we can do that. So basically, what is a network? A network is just a number of devices connected together. They are connected together for a reason, so that they can share data. This data can be files, can be resources. It can be, for example, your home network. Usually you use it to just access the internet, which is, you can look at it as a resource or as a source of data. So all networks, Wi-Fi or wired, achieve this sharing of data using the same principle. And that principle is, you need a device that acts as a server, and then all devices communicate with the server. So the server has access to the resource, and all the other devices on the network that are connected to this server, obviously, they can access the data from the server. So on most Wi-Fi networks, the server is the router, and all devices connect to this router and they access the internet through the router. So all the devices on the network have no access to the internet, as we can see in this diagram. The only device in the network that is connected to the internet is the Wi-Fi router. All the other devices, as we can see here, we have client 1 and 2 and 3, they have no access to the internet, but they can access it by connecting to the router. So whenever client 3, for example, if it wants to open google.com, it's gonna send a request to the router asking it, okay, I need google.com. The router is gonna go to the internet, it's gonna grab google.com and then forward it back to client number 3. So client number 3 does not have direct access to the internet. It has to go through the router, and the router is going to bring the request and send the response back to client number 3. Now all of this data, requests and responses, are transferred through packets. So you can imagine all these arrows are a number of packets being sent between the clients and the router. And in Wi-Fi networks, these packets are sent into the air, so they're broadcasted. And if you're within range with these packets, then you can just sniff them, capture them, and read them, and you'll be able to see the information in there. So all this data, so whether it's usernames, passwords, videos, audio, music, chats, all of that is transferred as packets, and it's always transferred between the client and the router because the client has no access to the internet. So if you capture these packets, you'll be able to see all of this data that's transferred. You'll be able to see all these passwords, usernames, emails, videos, all that. You'll be able to capture it and read it on your device. MAC address. Each network card, whether it's Wi-Fi card or wired card, it has a physical static address assigned by the card manufacturer called the MAC address, Media Access Control. This MAC address is actually written on your card, and it's physical, so it never changes. For your card, for your specific card, for example, for your Wi-Fi card, it will never change. It will always be the same. The MAC address is used between devices to identify each other and to transfer packets in the right direction. This works by each packet has a source MAC and a destination MAC, and it travels from the source MAC to the destination MAC. Now, because the MAC address is static and it never changes, it can be used to trace you back and to identify your device. Also, since devices use MAC address to identify each other, so for example, you'll have some networks that only allow certain MAC addresses to connect to the network. They use a whitelist, or they can use a blacklist and blacklist your MAC address so that you cannot connect to that network. So changing your MAC address can help you either connect to the network by changing your MAC address to one that's in a whitelist, or it could let you bypass blacklists. So, as I said, it's physical and static, so the only way to change the MAC address is to change it in the RAM. So it will only be changed for this session. Once you restart your device, you have to change it again. So to do this, it's very simple. We're going to use a tool called MAC Changer. So let's see how we do that. So first of all, to get your Wi-Fi card name, just type in iwconfig, and it will show all wireless cards you have. So here ETH0 has no wireless extensions, and same with LO. And we can see that LAN 0 is my wireless card. So I'm just gonna disable the wireless card. So if config LAN 0 down, that's to disable the wireless card. Now we're going to change the MAC address. We're gonna use a tool called MAC Changer. So always with these tools, it's always a good idea to look at the help. So if you just go on MAC Changer, help, we'll see all the options that we can use with this tool. So you can use help and version to show the version, and help, show to show your current MAC address, E, so that it doesn't change the vendor bytes, it doesn't change the manufacturer of the MAC address. So another is just to try a random vendor MAC of the same kind. A is just to set a random vendor here, the capital A. P will reset to the original permanent MAC address. So if you change your MAC address and you want to use the old one, you can use P. Or will just give you a random MAC address, and L will just print the non-vendors that you can use. And M, actually, it'll help you pick your own MAC address. So you can, if there is a whitelist, and I'll show you how you can see all connected devices. So if your target network, you can see there's, for example, 3 devices connected, and this network only allows these 3 devices connect. So you can just take one of those MAC addresses and change it and use it yourself, and then try to connect, and it will allow you to connect. So let's see how we change the MAC address. We're going to use MAC Changer again. and I'm just going to use random to set up a random MAC address, and then we'll put the device name, which is LAN 0. So very simple, MAC changer random LAN 0. You can use the M to specify your own MAC address if you want. So I'm gonna hit enter, and as you can see, my original one was this, and it's been changed to 98A4B095CA3. Okay, so now our wireless card is ready and we've changed its MAC address. Now we need to enable it again because we disabled it by typing ifconfig LAN 0 down. So we'll do the opposite. We're gonna do ifconfig LAN 0 up, and that's it. The card is enabled and its MAC address has been changed. Let's just have a look on it. If you type in ifconfig LAN 0, now we can see the new MAC address showing up in here. So from the previous video, we know that MAC addresses are used so that they ensure each packet goes into the right direction. So it goes from the source to the destination MAC, which is specified in the packet. So if the MAC address is used to make sure that each packet gets delivered to the right person, how can we capture it? Because I said in the first video, I said we can sniff those packets, capture them, and read all the information that is in these packets. Now, if we're gonna do that, how can we do that if each packet is actually delivered to one person? Well, MAC address does ensures that each packet is sent to the right person, but that's only when your wireless card is working in the default mode, which is the managed mode. So in managed mode, your wireless card will only capture packets that are sent to it. It will only capture packets that have the destination MAC as your own MAC address. So let's say this again. In managed mode, in your default mode, your wireless card will only capture packets that are sent to your device. Now there is another mode called the monitor mode, and this mode allows us to capture any packet that is in our Wi-Fi range. Whether the packet is directed to our device or not, we will be able to capture it anyway. As long as it's within our Wi-Fi range, we will be able to capture it. So enabling monitor mode is very simple. We're going to use a tool called Airmon NG, which is part of the Aircrack NG suite. Let's see how we do this. First, I'm going to disable my Wi-Fi card again, same way we did it when we were changing the MAC address. So it's just ifconfig LAN 0 down to disable it. Then we're going to use Airmon NG to enable monitor mode. Airmon NG. If you actually just type in Airmon NG, it will show you the available wireless cards, and you can see I only have LAN 0. So I can say Airmon NG start LAN 0. And basically when I say start LAN 0, I mean enable monitor mode on LAN 0. So Airmon created a new virtual wireless card called Mon0. So now we have LAN 0, we have two wireless cards. So if I type in Airmon NG, you can see that I have two wireless cards. I have LAN 0, which is my actual physical wireless card. Mon0 is just a virtual wireless card created by Airmon NG, and it has monitor mode enabled on it. So now if we go ifconfig LAN 0, so now if we go actually iwconfig LAN 0, you'll see that it's in managed mode. And if I go to Mon0, sorry, iwconfig, you'll see that Mon0 in monitor mode. So the card that we're going to be using now when we are not connected to any networks, and all the attacks that we're going to use now, we're going to use Mon0 because it's in monitor mode, and this mode allows us to capture any packet that is within our Wi-Fi range, even if the packet is not directed to our device. Now, if you want to stop monitor mode for any reason, all you have to do is just type in Airmon NG stop Mon0. So Mon0 is the card that has monitor mode enabled on it, and I can stop it using this command. So as you can see here, it says removed. So if I type in airmon ng, I'll only see LAN 0 again.